What's happening, ladies, gentlemen, and genetic anomalies? How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I am not a newbie, coming at you live, and we have some interesting topics to talk about on the stream today. Got a whole lot of things. I do plan on going back through some stories that I've wanted to talk about on the stream for a while now. Just like old show prep from previous streams. But then after that, I've got two videos from people in the Discord who they wanted me to react to them, so I'm gonna react to them. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that there are people inside of my Discord who are creative enough to be making their own YouTube content. That's what's up. That's what's up. Also, I guess maybe I could do a proper review of Deadpool and Wolverine. It's a pretty good movie. It's one that's sort of hard to describe fully without getting into spoiler territory, especially when people are asking the classic "how will this affect LeBron's legacy" type questions. You know, like, oh, how does this affect the MCU or the X-Men of the MCU? No, I mean, if you're asking me if the X-Men are in the MCU, you're asking for a spoiler at that point. To be fair. Let's see. There we go. All right, let me do that. Okay. So I think I'm actually going to start off the stream with review of Deadpool and Wolverine. I just feel like it'd be the easiest dude, be quick to do. Plus, I think some of you guys are probably still wondering my thoughts. I should do movie reviews more often on this channel, or like, well, on both channels, right? On the Non Newbie Streams channel and on the Non Newbie Highlights channel. But yeah. For now, you know, there's so many news stories that I want to get to on the stream that I'm not gonna have time to do that and get to all the movies I've been seeing and stuff. Like I literally already can't get to all the news stories I want to discuss. So, but anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and pause the music and get into it. So, Deadpool Wolverine, good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's difficult to say if it's better than the second movie. Now, I do have unpopular opinions about these movies. So I actually think that the first Deadpool movie is not as good as the second Deadpool movie. And the third one, I would argue, is better than the second one. I think the third one's story is a bit more meaningful, in large part because it, I think, propels more character development in the character of Deadpool. And like moving the story along as far as who Deadpool is as a person. The first movie didn't do that. It was literally just a revenge film. The second movie kind of did that because they had to learn how to work with the team and stuff, and not be like 100% selfish. Deadpool Wolverine kind of has a lot of those themes, but all of those themes are like dialed up to 11, which I think helped make it a more enjoyable and comfortable experience, especially for people who might take umbrage with some of the crude nature of the character. The character, while he might be, I guess, crude and rude, he's not the same super selfish person that you saw in the first film. Not that he was like completely selfish, because he was in love with like Vanessa and all that stuff, but I think they really show the contrast of what it means to be a hero and who Deadpool typically is, and it kind of shows how the two can potentially be reconciled. So it's a very fantastic film on the story front. A lot of people said, oh, this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's like a plotless film. They just don't understand the movie. It has a plot. I think the amount of sense it's allowed to make is a little bit limited because it's trying to incorporate themes from a universe whose timeline itself doesn't really make sense in like the X-Men stuff, because it's like, oh, stuff, all this stuff happened and everything is retconned, but then we've got sequel to the old movie. It's like there's a whole bunch of stuff in the X-Men universe already that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so this movie is in a way trying to reconcile all of that together, and kind of find a way to bring everything into the MCU as as logically as possible. I know it's kind of a silly movie. And for, you know, the Christians in my audience, I know I have some Christians in my audience. For a lot of you, this is not going to be a movie that you will enjoy. Thankfully, there's no nudity in this movie, which is very nice. But I mean, there are a lot of very crude jokes in the film, double entendres. So if those types of things sort of make you squeamish or queasy, I would say just stick to the Blu-ray of Once Upon a Deadpool that you have at home, and that'll give you almost as many laughs as you would get if you saw Deadpool Wolverine. No harm in that, no shame in that at all. You know, not all movies are for everyone. So I thought the movie was great. When it comes to humor, it's kind of interesting. I think the humor that's used in this film, it's hard for me to say it's not as funny, because the jokes that are in this film are pretty funny. However, they don't make as many jokes in this film as they have in the previous installments. It's a lot more serious. So if you saw like the third trailer, which I call the Disney trailer of Deadpool Wolverine on YouTube, a lot of the film is kind of more in line with that than what you saw in the first two films. Don't get me wrong, it is very silly. It is very fun. It's very funny. But the overall tone of the film is not just wanton goofiness. It's not that. It's like, you know, this guy using humor to cope with dark situations is sort of more of the vibe of the film, at least as I understood it and as I watched it and as I interpreted it. But that's sort of like my review. It's a great film. I think it's in contention for the best entry in the trilogy. I think it's just a little too early to say it's better than Deadpool 2, but I'd say it's definitely better than Deadpool 1. Deadpool 1 is such a static story. Nothing happens. Barely anything happens in that movie. It's just main character finds a cancer cure and then goes and kills goes to kill the person who kidnapped his girlfriend. Like, that's literally it. That's literally it. There's not much more nuance than that. So Deadpool Wolverine is great. Maybe it would have solidified its spot as the best film in the trilogy if it had TJ Miller in it. But other than that, there's not really much more that you could have asked for out of that film. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's going to be a blast. I mean, I'm sure most of you guys have already seen this movie anyways, but if you haven't, go check it out, especially if you care about the MCU, the X-Men films, or the Deadpool films. They're great. They're great. Also, I guess I should add at the end that they did not ruin the ending of Logan like some people thought that it might, which I thought was very classy, and I appreciated it. So you got two thumbs up from me, Chief. This film was good. I enjoyed it, and I think a lot of you guys will probably enjoy it too. So yeah, that was a good movie. That was a good movie. I enjoyed that a lot. All right, so we've got the next topic here. All right, so some people were sort of kind of quizzical or puzzled, or I don't even know what the right word to say is, but when Donald Trump announced J.D. Vance as his VP pick, a lot of people were confused, and some people were even mystified, because some people thought that he wasn't really the most personable person, but others thought that this is like some radical conservative. Not even conservative. He's a radical far righter who is on the Republican Party, very far to the extreme, and this is just like, someone who's going to support fascism or something. So I figured that I would go and look up J.D. Vance's voting record to see what the actual facts of the matter are. So here is his entry on Heritage Action for America's website, where they sort of list the voting record, and you could kind of go through and see all of the positions that he supported in comparison to the Heritage Foundation's page. Now, by the way, if you were like some like blue and on dude or like Kamala Harris supporter or something, and you're like, oh, not a newbie, you're pointing to a Heritage Foundation website. Well, just because it's pointing to a Heritage Foundation website doesn't mean they're going to lie about the record. They're just going to hold up J.D. Vance's record to the Heritage Foundation standard. I often find in many of these things that the standard that the websites have is actually farther right than I would like, but at the very least, it sort of shows where someone is. If someone has like an 100%, conservative review score or something, that person's probably going to be far right. But if they're like 70-80%, they're probably just like a normal conservative. So I would like to go through some of these things just to see what his positions are in comparison to where the Heritage Foundation is, to see if he's actually far right or not. So looking at this here, oh, by the way, just looking at the score, he's got a 93% session score, 93% lifetime score, and a 62% score being deemed an average Senate Republican by the Heritage Foundation. So taking that into account, that's like the high level view. Let's go to the mid-level view. So here he voted no on the Emergency National Security Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2022. It says here, America's, their criticism is this flawed foreign aid package recklessly spends American taxpayer dollars without a plan, a strategy, or end goal. So this, I think, is probably in regards to giving money to some foreign nations like Ukraine or Israel. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like it deals with giving foreign aid out, basically. So he voted no on that. So he's not a fan of spending money, like giving out blank checks to allies, funding their wars indefinitely. Not a big fan of that. So it says here, vote to dismiss the articles of impeachment against Mayorkas. He opposes that. I think that's completely fair. He opposed the second fiscal year 2024 6-bill minibus. I mean, which is fine. I think it's actually pretty rare that you see people kind of opposing these like minibuses or omnibus bills or stopgap spending bills, which is crazy to me. It's crazy to me that Republicans are sort of still going along with this way of funding the federal government when Matt Gaetz led a whole crusade to get Kevin McCarthy ousted for doing exactly that. It's bizarre to me and unfortunate that when we haven't seen a functional change in how the federal government is funded. But anyways, he opposed that. He opposed the other one as well, the other spending bill. What's this? The Senate Foreign Aid Supplemental Appropriations Package. Let's see here. This gives like $90 billion of foreign aid to various countries, essentially. So he voted against that. He voted against another appropriations package. This one, it looks like it's stimulus. Wait, is it stimulus checks or is this more foreign aid? I think this is more foreign aid. Yeah, this is more Israel, Ukraine funding. So a lot of these no's are like Israel and Ukraine funding. The National Defense Authorization Act. Hold on. They say the fiscal year 2024 National Defense Authorization Act should provide our armed forces with the tools and resources needed to deter conflict and require the Department of Defense to focus solely on its fundamental mission of safeguarding our nation's security. The fiscal year 2024 NDAA conference report fails to adequately fulfill these responsibilities and further undermines the integrity of our military. I'm not sure how it does that. To be honest, I have not read this bill. I'm not super familiar with it. He did support one minibus in 2023, which the Heritage Foundation does not support. He did oppose a CR from Chuck Schumer. He opposed the agreement to suspend the debt ceiling. He opposed the ERA, which is very good. ERA is pretty bad. He supported overturning Joe Biden's regulation to use the VA to provide abortions. That's okay. We're getting to some good policies that he's actually supporting here. Supports the Hawley Amendment to create a special inspector for Inspector General for Ukraine aid. It's not bad. It's not bad. More accountability for our federal spending is not anything that I will ever complain about. Blocking Biden's ESG rule for retirement accounts. I mean, that's dope. That's dope. It's weird that we have an ESG rule for retirement accounts. That's insane. That's insane. Co-sponsorships kind of is in line with all the same co-sponsorships as the Heritage Foundation. Co-sponsorships of Dismantle DEI Act. Nice. CBDC, Anti-Surveillance State Act, Equal Representation Act, and Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, which that one is a good bill. So it seems like J.D. Vance is a small government conservative. Like he's opposed all this unbridled government spending, which are like hallmark big government policies. And if you're for big government, that's sort of like the gateway drug to fascism. You're not really going to be able to get fascism if you don't support big government. J.D. Vance doesn't seem to support big government. So J.D. Vance, based on this page alone, is not really coming off as some sort of crazy Christian nationalist, fascist Republican. Now, maybe I'll see something else from him where I will disagree, and I think at some point I am going to be reacting to one of his speeches that he gave. So we'll see from his rhetoric there if I agree with his stances or not. But J.D. Vance doesn't really seem to be that radical. He seems to hold some very normal views. Now, maybe it's somewhat controversial to say we shouldn't be giving blank checks to Ukraine in Gaza, but there are a lot of Republicans who support that policy, who say no, like we shouldn't do that. And it's not like crazy to say that we shouldn't be giving money to Ukraine. It's not crazy to say that we shouldn't be sending money to Gaza. I think Gaza is a little bit more questionable, but still, like, it's not crazy to hold these positions that J.D. Vance has. So it'll be interesting. Oh my goodness. It'll be interesting to see what policy-based attacks people start launching on J.D. Vance. I've been noticing some very non-policy based attacks that have been launched against him. And I do plan on talking about those later at some point. But, as it stands now, I do not have any strong negative feelings about J.D. Vance whatsoever. I think that he seems to be pretty much fine if we're just taking him at his voting policy here. His voting record here. But again, for things like this, we'll just have to wait and see how things pan out. People shift and change their policies all the time. Maybe he was farther right and he's going to be moving closer to more mainstream conservatism, or maybe he's in mainstream conservatism now but plans on moving far right. We'll have to wait and see. But I mean, the dude has to open his mouth so that we know what record he's standing on at this point. But at the end of the day, we're not voting for J.D. Vance. We're voting for Donald Trump. I don't think that a pick like J.D. Vance is really going to greatly affect Donald Trump's chances at winning the election. Because, Trump is Trump. He is such a popular person that anyone who is his VP's or even his VP pick is just going to be someone in the background. I don't think that person's going to be sort of like taking up the mantle and being the face of the campaign. So I don't think Trump has much to worry about with J.D. Vance. He would have to put out some insane statements, saying that women who get abortions should be hung from trees or something. He would have to put out some very, very crazy propositions in order for me to look at him sideways, or for Trump, for it to negatively affect Trump's campaign, in my opinion. But again, we'll have to wait and see, because there's still 90 days until the election. So you never know. You never know how things are going to shape up, because this race can transform drastically over the course of a day or two. So yeah, you never know what's going to happen. Oh man. So in the wake of J.D. Vance being picked as Donald Trump's running mate, I must admit that I never really knew a whole lot about J.D. Vance, or kind of what his policies were. Now, I did go through and read a bunch of his policies, so I'm a bit more informed on where he stands on various policies. But I have yet to hear him speak. I've not heard a full speech from JD Vance. And yes, I do know that JD Vance spoke at the RNC. I didn't have time to listen to all of the people who spoke at the RNC. So I'm deciding to watch his CPAC speech, which took place, I think, not too long ago in 2022. It's not too long. It's like 8 minutes long. So I'm going to watch this, and I will kind of give some commentary on what I think about both his rhetoric and the policies that he's supporting in this speech.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Great to be here. Wow, what a crowd. This is awesome. I've even got some of my family here, so it's going to get especially rowdy here. So I wanted to introduce myself to those of you watching on TV and also those of you in the audience who don't know who I am. I am JD Vance. I'm a business guy, but I am now the Republican Senate nominee in the state of Ohio. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take that Senate. I grew up in southwestern Ohio. Okay. I was raised by my mama.
I thought you was going to finish that sentence, but I guess not.
We're going to take that Senate.
Okay. Sure.
I grew up in southwestern Ohio. I was raised by my mama and papa, who came from southeastern Kentucky, coal country. And if you know anything about our background or anything about my life, you know that my mama was not always a conventional woman. She was different in ways big and small. So she died actually in 2005, right before I left to go to Iraq. I was an enlisted Marine for 4 years. And I remember when Mama, thank you. And I remember when Mamaw died, we discovered 19 loaded handguns all around her house. Oh. And we were...
Bruh, dude, I would be licking my chops at that, bro. That's so cool. Like, if you were to call me a gun nut, you would have to be lying to do so, but guns are pretty cool. And, you know, they can be pretty expensive. So to find basically 19 free guns, like, bro. That is an enviable inheritance for sure.
We were sort of wondering. We always knew she was a gun person. She was pro Second Amendment before it was cool. We were wondering, why are they in the wardrobe? Why are they in the silverware drawer? And we realized that Mamaw, who couldn't get around that well towards the end of her life, she wanted to make sure that no matter where she was at any moment, she was within arm's reach of a gun, so cool. And she could bust a cap if she needed to.
And that's smart too. It's very smart.
So we believed in the Second Amendment.
I mean, not smart if someone is sneaking around in your house and is able to collect like 4 guns, and then can like literally pick of any type of any of those guns to shoot at you with. Like not the greatest. Hopefully she hid them well.
She needed to. So we believed in the Second Amendment in my family before it was cool. But she was not just a lover of the Second Amendment. She was an incredible woman. She was a disciplinarian. She was tough. She could be firm. She could be firm with the people she loved and also the people she didn't know. I remember when I came home from school one day and I said, Mamaw, this is right after we invaded Iraq in April of 2003. I said, Mamaw, I would like to enlist in the U.S. Marine Corps. And she said, no, you're not. And I said, well, why? And she said, well, because I'm not letting anybody go to the Marine Corps given what's going on. She loved the Marines. She loved the individual Marines, but she was scared, like a lot of young parents and grandparents are for their kids. And so when I brought the recruiter over to our house to try to persuade her that she should let me enlist in the United States Marine Corps, she told the recruiter, if you step 1 foot on my porch, I'll blow it off. And so they had a conversation about the U.S. Marine Corps while she stood up on her porch and he stood in the yard. And that was how he eventually persuaded my Mamaw that I could join the Marine Corps. And
I must say, I didn't know that he served.
And the reason I'm running for Senate, the reason that I love this country is because the country was so good to me. The people who are here, supporting me, the people who are always there for me, everybody from, public school teachers who took an interest in me, to the Marine Corps drill instructors who provided needed discipline. This country, ladies and gentlemen, is a great place, and it was an especially great place to a kid like me. And for that reason, I believe it's time to step up, it's time to fight for it, and ladies and gentlemen, it is time to save this country and do it in the right way.
Okay, I was wondering where he was going with all of this, because you're just like, oh, I grew up in Kentucky and my grandma had guns. I was like... How does this tie in to like what you're going to be like as a politician. But if the whole point of going off on all of that for 3 minutes was to say, you know, America has been like a great place for me to live as a person with this background, and if I can make it, then certainly you guys can too. All you got to do is just work hard. That's a nice message. I don't know that you need 3 minutes to say that, but to be fair, this was 2 years ago. He's probably polished up on his speaking skills by now.
Now you think about, where else but America could a kid who grew up in a poor family in southwestern Ohio be running for the U.S. Senate at the age of 38? Where else could a kid who grew up, you know, in a non-traditional family where things weren't always easy have the opportunity and the ability to start a business and to be a husband, a good father, to raise 3 children in a city that we love? This country, ladies and gentlemen, don't ever let them tell you that it's not worth fighting for. Don't ever let them tell you that it's not worth saving, because a country that can provide those dreams and those rights and those opportunities to a kid like me is a country that we need to save. And ladies and gentlemen, at this conference, we are dedicated to doing just that.
That's cool. Still light on policy. All I know 4 minutes into the speech is that he supports the Second Amendment and he supports the military somewhat. That's generally all I know. Hoping that he gets to more substance here.
Now, I was endorsed in my race by President Trump, and I expect that hopefully he'll come back to the state of Ohio and campaign with us a little bit. But there was something that President Trump said, something that never got as much attention as I thought it should, because you hear a lot about this word dreamers, about people who are in this country, some of them in this country illegally, and about the dreams that they have. And he said that, you know, what we never talk enough about is that American citizens have dreams too. And I think about that at this moment when so many of our citizens, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to the policies of the Democrats and the Biden administration, thanks to the woke corporations who silence Americans and ship American jobs overseas, there are a lot of American citizens that are having their dreams challenged. And ladies and gentlemen, it is time that we here in this room fought for them, and that's exactly what we are going to do. Now
I'm still waiting for policy. I want policy. I want policy. People love the rhetoric, and I understand that it's what works on the citizens. People really just vote on who's the most charismatic and who has like the personality that appeals to them the most. But I want the policy. I'm not electing you to give speeches. I'm not electing you to do mean tweets. Give me the policy. Now, to be fair, we're not voting for J.D. Vance for president of the United States, but I mean, goodness, I didn't want a fluff speech. Like, tell me a little bit more about what you're about.
Now, when you grow up in a family that doesn't have a lot of money, there are little things that you notice, little things that you might not notice. And so I want to just tell you something very briefly. I was talking to somebody who was involved in the grocery business. And he told me that one of the things that they're seeing right now is that people aren't buying hamburger and hot dog buns as much. They're buying a lot of white bread. And I remember in my mamaw's house, when money got especially tight, that was one of the first things that you cut out, is you replaced hamburger and hot dog buns with white bread. So why is it that American families all across this country are buying white bread? It's because the Joe Biden economy has made it hard for families to have hot dogs with hot dog buns, and that is an unacceptable thing. Ladies and gentlemen, our people, our American citizens have dreams too, and one of those dreams is that they should be able to have a family cookout with hamburger buns, and they should be able to fill up their gas tank with a reasonable price gasoline. Those are the dreams of our people, and those are the dreams that we need to defend.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. So, I mean, his argument is that Democratic policies have made it harder to afford things in America, which is true. And we've heard people complaining about that over like the past year or two, if not longer. Ever since Joe Biden has taken office, the economy has been worse than how it was when Trump left. More or less. I think we're finally crossing that nexus at certain data points. Just now, after 4 years of Joe Biden being president, it's like you made a mess in your room and then you cleaned it up and made it look as good as it was before, but you didn't really do much. What credit do you deserve? You know, this is kind of like where America's at right now. The economy, thankfully, is not as bad as it was when he gave this speech.
But they've got other dreams too. Our people dream of being able to send their children to school where they're taught that American history is something to be proud of and not something to be ashamed of. Our people, they dream of being able to send their kids to trade schools, to jobs, to universities, to apply for those things without explicit racial discrimination, which is something that I guarantee you we all know is happening in this country right at this very minute.
Okay, so opposing DEI, that is also good. So we're seeing some concrete policy declarations at least.
They dream of being able to go into the drugstore and buy pharmaceutical ingredients, antibiotics that were not manufactured by America's biggest enemy, the Communist Chinese Party. They dream of being able to send their kids to the Marine Corps and to the other military branches where they're not kicked out for refusing to take a vaccine for a disease that is not a danger to those young kids.
Okay, nice. So we're getting another policies position, which is not supporting mandatory COVID-19 vaccines, which I think is also generally fair, especially if we're talking about military-aged men and women, right? You know, COVID-19 poses a very minimal risk to them.
They dream of a country where the Attorney General puts the people in jail who burn down American cities, not the people who are protesting peacefully at their kids' school.
Oh, hey, there we go. So he's stuffing in all of the substance at the end.
And those people, ladies and gentlemen, are our people, whether they are conservatives, whether they vote Republican every time, the people who just want a good life in the country that their grandparents and great-grandparents built. The people who want their children to have a better life than they did, they are winnable. They are winnable in 22 more than any other time. I'm J.D. Vance. You can go to my website. I'm at jdvance.com. And I want you to support me. I want you to make phone calls for me. I want you to go out there, if you're in Ohio, and knock on doors for me. Because the dreams of our citizens are never going to become a reality when you have a president like the one that we have right now and a weak, fake congressman named Tim Ryan in Ohio who is actually fighting against the very working people that he swore an oath to protect and defend. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a chance in 2022 to take this country back, to fight for this country's values, and we are not going to do it unless we get engaged, unless we get energized, unless we recognize that in November of 22, we are going to send a message to the fake media, to the propagandists, to the Joe Biden administration. We are going to send a message that the American people, we have dreams too, and it's time to fight for them. Thank you, and God bless you.
That's what's up. That's cool. That's a surprisingly unifying message. I kind of like that. I think that he could have like trimmed some stuff off of it, especially at the beginning. I think it was a little wordy, the way that he kind of, you know, somewhat verbosely pitched himself as like an ordinary American. I think that he didn't need to give all of those details, especially with a limited amount of time that he had. But, you know, all things considered, not a bad speech. These are the types of speeches that I think I would be completely happy with to hear from my vice president. So, you know, this JD Vance guy doesn't really seem all that bad. You know, maybe the Democrats are going to call him weird enough times for me to change my mind. We'll see. But his policies seem okay. So, like, there's not really much for me to complain about. So, yeah, I'll take it. JD Vance ain't a horrible pick. I mean, unless he, like, went off and raged against, I don't know, Democrats or something one time, which, I mean, and I'm talking about, like, Democrat voters and things, but I don't know. But this is someone I could definitely get behind. So not too bad. I'll definitely take it. Now my time is coming. I am running a bit short on time here, so I am going to go ahead and react to the two videos from the members of my Discord that I mentioned at the beginning of the stream. For those of you who are not particularly familiar with my Discord community, Mr. Pizza is a member of the community, and he's been working for several months rotoscoping an animation. I think it involves me as well as E Productions in a fight, like a ninja fight. I've seen some pieces of this, I think, in like the pre-release form, and it looked very good and it looked very promising. So I'm kind of curious to see what this is going to be about. Because it's rotoscoped, the animation I would guess would be the same, but I'm thinking things like audio and also of course presentation. As you complete your animation, of course things are going to start looking a lot better. So really interested to see how this all came together and what the final product is looking like.
I sense a strong opponent. I think I'll take the challenge. Teleportation jutsu.
Ooh. Okay, this is cool. I will say I was expecting the stick perspective animations to be a bit more detailed, but I do like how the different angles have different perspectives to them and like almost like different art styles. They're stylized differently. I think it was a very unique choice that I appreciate artistically. Okay, this is cool. Oh, this is cool. Yo, I like the granular level of detail as you zoom in. I will say, it does sort of look like the more I get into the video, the more it seems like the decision to use the stick figures seems more like a time constraint than a stylistic choice. Visually, I think they both are appealing in their own way. So I do wish it was a little bit more consistent as far as like when you chose to use the stick figures, so when you chose to use the more detailed art style. Oh. Oh. Oh, what's this? Yo, wait. Am I gonna lose this fight? Is this dude like about to go Super Saiyan?
Where the hell am I? Looks like you're struggling. Let me out, and together we can win this battle.
Oh,
so
no.
This is where you
I'm
are
gonna
hiding,
lose.
my little green friend. Okay, let's do this, partner.
Oh no! That's it? Yo, wait, no. There's gotta be a part 2 to this. This is the Funimation animation department been real silent since this dropped. Yo, bro, I want a part 2. I want a part 2 to this. See, now you left me on a cliffhanger. So now I'm like, where's the next part? But this did take Mr. Pizza a while to make. Yeah, it says, how long did this take to make? A few months. Yeah, this did take a while to make. I didn't mean to start the video again. But yo, Mr. Pizza, good work. I will say the with how much of this animation was stick figures, it did make it seem more like you wanted to release it. But you just like didn't have time to make things more detailed than you wanted to be. It was kind of hard to tell. But still, the camera angles, I think like the way in one of the shots you like as you zoomed in, the level of detail changed. I thought that was all really cool. That's really cool. I don't think I could do anything quite like this. So props to you for this. I think you did mention one time while you were working on this that making your own animation is easier to do than rotoscoping, because rotoscoping takes a lot of time because you're tracing existing lines. So I'm kind of curious now to see if you do your own animation, how does that, what does that end up looking like in comparison to a rotoscope? But I mean, hey, if that's up to you, if that's something you want to do. But I'm just kind of curious about that. Good work here. I thought it was good. I thought it was okay. There were some parts where I was like, but there was some very, very cool moments in this too. And you had me at the edge of my seat there at the very end. I was not expecting that. So, props to you, Mr. Pizza. All right. The Angry Canadian from my Discord server and my the Bread Gang community, you might know him as Mike, decided to make a YTP of the presidential debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and he called it the senior home debate, which is like it's a perfect name for this. So this came out just 3 days ago. Let's react to this and see if it's any good. Those of you who know, I hate YTPs, but there is a way to tastefully do YTPs. I think a Ping Trip does YTPs in a very, very good way. So kind of curious to see what this one ended up being like.
We're live from Georgia. We're live from Georgia, a key battleground state.
No. I mean, hey, you gotta fight for those mail-in ballot votes. I'm watching this again. It's so sad to watch his walk, and they did not do many favors by giving him no audience. What?
You're President Trump.
Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right.
What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them.
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
I don't blame them.
Thank you,
Did
President
he
Biden.
really say I don't blame
Who are
them?
disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them.
Okay, YTP editing aside, I can't believe that like the moderator was like, "Oh, what do you say to black people who think that none of progress has been done for their community?" It's just like, they're kind of right. Like, what? Okay, how are people supposed to make the case for you when you can't even make the case for yourself?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I make Trump love me.
That is more coherent than half of the things he said on the debate stage.
I'm Dick Tapper. Our job is to facilitate between Dana and former President Trump.
We're very stupid
What?
people. Democrats did a very poor job. They spent money like a bunch of Democrat people, and they don't know what they were doing. It was probably the worst administration in history.
Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters.
It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
That whole line was just like he didn't even need to do that many edits because it was so bizarre what he was talking about.
And sisters by Trump.
It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
That is simply not true.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Democrats are from mental institutions, insane asylum.
That's a good edit. Democrats are from mental institutions and insane asylum.
I think he knows what he said either. Democrats are from mental institutions, insane asylum. And we have to get a lot of these people out, or we have to get them out fast, because they're going to destroy our country.
He edited him to make it sound like he's talking about deporting Democrats.
That is simply not true.
Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about them. He doesn't care at all. He doesn't care about our
So
veterans.
true. This is
I have
accurate.
the highest approval rating for veterans. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
President Biden, you would be 666 at the end of your second term.
If you told me he would be that old, I would believe you.
Voters have concerns about your
Actually, he'd be sick at the end of his second term. I hate that I'm making a joke out of this because it's actually very serious. Like, Joe Biden's health was in a horrible spot. I'm very happy for him that he decided to drop out, because now he gets to spend time with his family and stuff, maybe in jail, but still a better condition for him health wise than being trotted out to fly all over the country and speak at odd hours of the day, meet with random foreign dignitaries at any potential hour. Like this dude is old. Let him rest. This guy's been in politics longer than my parents have been alive. You're running him into the ground.
Capability to handle the toughest job in the world.
Every single one. For example, veterans
Wait, let me
handle
go
the
back.
toughest job in the world. Second term. Voters have concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world.
Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have their own money. They know. I
really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do?
That might be the funniest end of this whole thing. Like,
I think he knows what he said either.
And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do?
We have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 420%, my son will not lose.
20%. Democrats wish the rich would pay 420%
taxes. If they just paid 420%, my son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
He will wipe out my ass, and we're now laughed at. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm at Russia?
21.
Let's not act like children. Let's not kill children.
He didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
At the end of the debate, each candidate will get two. There is no debate
From Georgia.
tonight.
It's terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again.
This man is going to single-handedly destroy my ass. We're no longer respected as a country.
How about no?
They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect my ass.
No senior has to be president.
What?
Ass.
No senior has to be president.
That's the proper response.
Live on CNN. Good evening, I'm turned on. This is a pivotal moment. Good evening, I'm the nation's highest office.
Well, guess what? I'm going to quit.
Thank you, President Biden.
I took care of the seniors. So we cut the taxes. The companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. We have never done so well.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
That's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world.
Will you accept the results of this election?
Knock on wood, wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health.
Will you?
Oh, no, we're now laughed at.
Never heard so much malarkey in my whole life.
We're living in hell. When you're terminally ill, now you can go and die. Our veterans.
This is a good edit. This is actually not bad. I might like YTPs now. The Angry Canadian has restored my faith in YTPs.
And our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him.
Thank you, former President Trump.
Nice. This isn't bad. I kind of like this. There's some points where it's very classic, like, I don't know, YTP crude humor, or humor just because you don't understand what he's saying because the speech is run backwards. But generally, this is impressive. This is pretty funny. There's some legit like punchlines and jokes in here. Like, that's what's up. That's what's up. This is cool, dude. Send me more YTPs. I will react to YTPs if you make them like this, like low key. Like, send them my way. Send them my way. You're clearly very talented. Oh, hold on, what is this? Gmod with the Gorkings?
Yes. I want to see.
Bro's live right now.
Wait for players.
That's cool.
We made it to the basement.
That's cool. I've never played Gary's Mod, so. But in any case, I do not have time to go over more topics because I have things that I have to do. Busy me. Very, very sad. But anyways, I hope to see you guys in a future stream. I might stream tomorrow. 50-50 shot I stream tomorrow. If I don't stream tomorrow, I will try to do a stream on Sunday because I have so much show prep now. Like, I had twice as much on my plate as I did when as I did by the end of the last stream. So, like, all types of stories. Like, bro, tell me that you're not salivating at the thought of me talking about, I don't know, Ludwig from video games being right about the toxicity of the commentary community on YouTube. The federal judge dismissing Trump's classified documents case. Myth retiring from YouTube? No, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Sketch, the whole sketch situation, which I still have to talk about. The Democrats calling the GOP weird because they don't have anything better to use to prop up Kamala Harris as their presidential candidate. Yeah, like we've got. There was some story out of Canada that Mike sent into the Discord to react to. There's that too. And also Vice News had this very good video. I already watched this, but I do want to watch it with you guys on stream called The Changing Vibe Among Conservatives. This was very good. I thought it would be a hit piece, but it's actually like really good and done with a lot of empathy towards conservatives, which surprised me. But anyways, that's all I got for y'all. Hopefully I chocked this full of content for you guys to watch and observe and enjoy. I will be bringing more gaming streams into the future as well. I will be streaming more frequently just in general. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I will see you guys later. Peace out, y'all.